Once again, Christian greetings to all our valued listeners and viewers throughout the whole world. This is our special episode number 56 as the last final warning message just prior to the close of provision. I would like to read the statement on the writings of Alonzo Jones. It says, "It is important, therefore, for us to study the prophecy and see what it says, and as much as possible, what it does not say." I would like to read again. It says, "It is important, therefore, for us to study the prophecy and see what it says, and as much as possible, what it does not say." Here's another statement. Let's read. I would like to read. The statement says, still Revelation 19 verse 20. Let's read Revelation 19 verse 20. It says, "And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire, burning with brimstone." But I would like to focus the statement that with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. So who are they that had been deceived by the miracles of the false prophet, letting fire to come down from heaven? It is those people who already received the mark, because the Bible is very plain. Them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. So, to repeat again, maybe, I would like to say the word maybe, there are many people ignorantly worshipping the image and worshipping the beast voluntarily, of being in total ignorance, not knowing that they already received the mark of the beast, not knowing that they already worship his image. Although the Bible is very plain in Revelation 13 on verse 8 saying, "And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world." We know that the earth mentioned here is not literal. It is symbolical earth. And the Bible is very plain. All of them that dwell upon the symbolical earth shall worship him. Inscribed in future tense, meaning there is no escape. All of them whose names are not written in the Lamb's book of life shall worship the devil in the person of the beast and his image. The statement in Answerer number 2, page 17, it says, "Worship him in the person of the beast and his image." Answerer number 2, page 17. So worship him in the person of the beast and his image. And that is the message of the third angel, to completely reveal the deception of Satan, because the beast and his image is a system employed by the devil to deceive God's people. And the focal point of the message of the third angel is to uncover the traps of the devil so that God's people will be able to avoid such deception. And in the Great Controversy, 449, it says, the Great Controversy, page 449, "The most fearful, threatening ever addressed to mortals is contained in the third angel's message. That must be a terrible sin, which calls down the wrath of God unmingled with mercy. Men are not to be left in darkness concerning this important matter. The warning against this sin is to be given to the world before the visitation of God's judgments, that all may know why they are to be inflicted and have opportunity to escape them." To have opportunity to escape them. Now, let us read again the statement written by Alonzo Jones. It says here, "The same thought is in this, that shows then that the miracles, the deceiving miracles that are wrought, are done to deceive them that had the mark of the beast." To deceive them that had the mark of the beast. But do men receive the mark of the beast before the image is made? So the question says, but do men receive the mark of the beast before the image is made? Under the message and the responsibility which the message brings, are men held responsible for receiving the mark of the beast and worshiping the beast before the image comes on and undertakes to compel them to do it? No. Because we found in our lessons here that until the image was made, there was a way of escape from the worship of the beast. The way was open for a man to refuse. But after the image is made, there is no way open for a man to refuse to worship the beast. because there is no place on the earth where the power comes. There is no escape anymore. And then it is that men become responsible for worshiping either the beast or his image. There is no other way of escape. The only way is to turn to God. Then the time comes that the decision is clear-cut and must be made between God and the powers of the earth alone. Or I would like to summarize the statement by saying that if you will wait the material side before you will accept the message, in reality, at that time, there is no more escape, according to the voice of inspiration. And there is no more possibility that you could avoid to worship the beast and to worship his image. Because the message of the first angel is, in Revelation 14, verse 6 and 7, is to worship God who made the heaven and the earth. And by refusing to accept the message of present truth is to refuse to worship him that who made the heaven and the earth. And of course, you will worship the beast and his image because there is no neutral ground. So I would like to read this reading. It says, "This is why the Lord does not want us to look for the fulfillment of the prophecy in the prophecy itself." This is why the Lord does not want us to look for the fulfillment of this prophecy in the prophecy itself. This statement in the language of the shepherd's rod can be easily understood that no, we should not wait the material side. It says, because if we wait for that, the most important things in the fulfillment of the prophecy will be those things upon which depend our salvation at the very moment that thing is fulfilled, and we are on the wrong side. If we are late, we are simply left. Therefore, he fixes it and has fixed it so as to show up the beast in its fullness, in all his working, in order that by studying that, we may be able to detect the image in every face and on every side. The first hint of everything of the kind is enough, because we know what the thing is. Everything is in it. And therefore, just as soon as that thing is touched, we can say that that thing, it says, that means the image of the beast. The image of the beast is in that thing. And I must avoid every connection of it or with it from now until the end of the world, watching the growth of that thing which has been started, which I know was the spirit and principle of the papacy when it was started. When I see that and avoid all of it at every step, I am on a safe ground. And unless I do that, I am on dangerous ground. So that is the admonition given by the voice of inspiration. So let us now study the image of the beast, the mark of the beast, and the number of his name through the prophecy, not through the material side. Because if you will wait the material side, that is already too late. Now, let us read track number 12. Here in track number 12, on page 27, it says, track number 12, page 27. When the number is finally made up, so it says, when the number is finally made up, the servants of God will be able to convince all the wise as to just whom the beast symbolizes. Or that statement must corroborate with the statement in 2 Symbolic Code 1 page 8. It says, 2 Symbolic Code number 1 page 8. As the fulfillment of this prophecy is yet future, we cannot now tell who will then be the head king of the north of this prophetic nation, modern Babylon, that is symbolized by the two-horned beast. And of course, the statement, who will then be the head king of the north, pointing to the President of the United States of America, the two-horned beast. And the same with the statement in 2SR page 151, saying, thus, whosoever shall stand at the head of that persecuting power, as described in this chapter and represented by the beast, is the one who shall bear the mystical number 666. So the head must be pointing to the predicted President of the United States of America. Now, let us go back in track number 12, page 27. When the number is finally made up, what number? The number 666. And unto whom the number 666 belongs? To the two-horned beast. So it says, when the number is finally made up, the servants of God will be able to convince all the wise as to just whom the beast symbolizes. We now see, though, that no one who studies the Word of God need be deceived when this power does appear on the stage of action. Yet, notwithstanding God's warning against giving allegiance to the beast, the world fails to give heed, with the result that even after his number is made up, he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And to repeat again, it points out to two different periods of time. Worshipping the beast, worshipping the image, receiving the mark through the foreheads, that is voluntarily chosen because foreheads represents intellectual. But worshipping the beast, worshipping the image, receiving the mark by hands, that is the time by which there is a death decree. And we know that that event is after the post-prophet, let fire come down from heaven. So, we need to study closely, brothers and sisters, the worshipping the beast, the worshipping the image, receiving the mark by foreheads, meaning those people had not been able to escape such deception because only those that gotten the victory over the beast, over the image, the mark and the number of his name, are granted to stand on the sea of glass. It says here in 2SR page 199, in the judgment, it is granted to the saints that had gotten the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name to stand on the sea of glass, life eternal. So, the statement had gotten the victory over the beast, over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, which is life eternal. Reciprocally, to the people by which they had been deceived by the beast, deceived by the image, deceived by the mark, and by the number of his name, failed to obtain eternal life. And the only reason is that because they rejected the present truth, the last and the final unfoldment of the third angel's message. Now, I would like to read again track number 5 on page 21. It says, I saw, says Sister White, all that would not receive the mark of the beast and of his image in their foreheads or in their hands could not buy or sell. Revelation 13 verse 15 to 17. I saw that the number 666 of the image beast, the two-horned beast of verse 11. So it says here, I saw that the number 666 of the image beast, the two-horned beast of verse 11, was made up, and that it was the beast, the 10-horned beast of verse 1, that changed the Sabbath, and the image beast, the two-horned beast, had followed on after and kept the Pope's and not God's Sabbath. Now, the statement in track number 12, page 27, saying, when that number is finally made up, the servants of God are able to convince all the wise virgins. And in track number 5, page 21, the statement was, I saw that the number 666 of the image beast, the two-horned beast of verse 11, was made up, indicating accomplished fact, inscribed in past tense, was made up. I would like to read first track number 3, third edition, on page 115. Track number 3, third edition, page 115. When therefore the judgment of the living commences and the image of the beast is fully made up, then these messages are, with a loud cry, to be repeated as present truth concerning the living instead of the dead. Track number 3, third edition, page 115. When therefore the judgment of the living commences and the image of the beast is fully made up, then these messages are, with a loud cry, to be repeated as present truth concerning the living instead of the dead. It says, when does the image of the beast is fully made up? When the judgment of the living commences. And here in 2SR, page 171, it says, 2SR, page 171, the sealing of the 144,000 is at the closing of the judgment of the dead and at the beginning of the judgment of the living. So the sealing of the 144,000 is at the beginning of the judgment of the living. Now, when does the image of the beast is fully made up? At the commencement of the judgment of the living. When would be the commencement of the judgment of the living? It is during the sealing of the 144,000. And the shepherd's rod is very plain. In track number 8, on page 22, it says, accordingly, God's restraining of the four winds is His holding back the image of the beast's activity. Revelation 13, verse 15 to 17. Track number 8, page 22. Now, let us now gradually analyze those statements. When does the image of the beast will be fully made up? At the commencement of the judgment of the living. Track number 3, third edition, page 115. When would be the commencement of the judgment of the living? That is the sealing of the 144,000 to SR 171. What is the message? To hold the four winds until the servants of God, 144,000, are completely sealed in Revelation 7, verse 3 and 4. Track number 8, page 22. Holding back the image of the beast activity. What does it mean? Holding it back, the possibility of implementing the image of the beast. Therefore, we can easily understand that during the sealing of the 144,000, the image of the beast is already fully made up. What is the image of the beast? One symbolic code, number 4, page 7, that is the scarlet-colored beast. The image of the beast above mentioned is the third, of which the scarlet-colored beast of Revelation 17 is symbolical. One symbolic code, number 4, page 7. Who made the image of the beast? United States of America. Great controversy, 443. What is the image of the beast? Scarlet-colored beast. When does the image of the beast, which is the scarlet-colored beast, is fully made up? At the commencement of the judgment of the living. So in the study of Revelation 17, what does it mean by holding the four winds? Holding the image of the beast activity. Track number 8, page 22. Or in other words, preventing the woman to ride on the scarlet-colored beast. The image of the beast is the scarlet-colored beast. One symbolic code 4-7. So in that symbolization, hold the four winds is the same, preventing the woman to ride on the scarlet-colored beast. Because when the woman rides the scarlet-colored beast, there is a death decree. And that death decree cannot be implemented not until the 144,000 are completely sealed, meaning immortality granted to them. Two symbolic code, number 5 and 6, page 10. They will be granted immortality before the four winds will be released. Or in other words, they will be made invulnerable to death. Track number 5, page 75. A bulletproof army to finish the gospel work. To TG 8, page 20. Now, brothers and sisters, what does it mean that the image of the beast is fully made up? When? At the commencement of the judgment of the living. What is that event? Commencement of the judgment of the living? The sealing of the 144,000. Who made the image of the beast? United States of America. What is the purpose of the scarlet-colored beast? Why God revealed to John the scarlet-colored beast? There are only two purposes, according to 2 SR 112, to reveal the true condition of the churches and to tell the fall of the church. Let us go first to reveal the true condition of the churches. When does the image of the beast is fully made up? At the commencement of the judgment of the living. What is the commencement of the judgment of the living? The sealing of the 144,000. Therefore, at the commencement of the sealing of the 144,000, since at that time the image of the beast is fully made up, and what is the purpose of God? To reveal the true condition of the churches. Where? In the representation of the beast itself, according to the reading in 2 SR 112. And where we could find the image of the beast? United States of America. So what does it mean, reveal the true condition of the churches? It was revealed by the symbolization of the image of the beast, which is the scarlet-colored beast. He is in the wilderness. But United States of America, it is a vineyard. Because Palestine is a vineyard. Track number 12, page 43. And America is modern Palestine. 1 SR 158. But what does it mean that America established image of the beast, formed an image of the beast, indicating that the vineyard became desolate? Track number 6, page 33. What does it mean by desolate? Track number 3, page 41. God's presence completely removed, by which it was portrayed by the 7 heads of the scarlet-colored beast. What is the 7 heads? Unharmed. 2 SR 112, 2 TG 1818. Never been wounded. What does it mean? That if the scarlet-colored beast had been formed in the United States of America, while there is a divinely called movement, and there is inspired servant in the United States of America, then the scarlet-colored beast, 7 heads, must be wounded. But the Bible cannot be mistaken. It is unharmed, never been wounded. When does the image of the beast had been fully made up? At the commencement of the judgment of the living, which is the sealing of the 144,000. What is the image of the beast? Scarlet-colored beast. What is his 7 heads? Unharmed, not wounded. What does it mean? It means that there is no more divinely called movement in the United States of America. There is no inspired servant. Otherwise, the revelation of the scarlet-colored beast must be in gross mistake. The purpose of God of the scarlet-colored beast is to reveal the true condition of the churches. What is the true condition? Wilderness. God's presence completely removed. There is no inspired servant. There is no divinely called movement. Otherwise, the 7 heads, one of them will be wounded. So let us read again the statement here in 2 Symbolic Code number 1, page 8. 2 Symbolic Code number 1, page 8. It says, the above explains that the two-horned beast is the one to whom the number 666 belongs. What is the two-horned? Now, I would like to read verse 2TG, number 17, on page 9 and page 10. 2TG number 17, page 9 and 10. The beast two horns point to its two political ruling powers, Democrats and Republicans. Let's read again, 2TG number 17, page 9 and 10. The beast two horns point to its two political ruling powers, Democrats and Republicans. Now, brothers and sisters, unto whom the number 666 belongs. Let's read again, 2 Symbolic Code number 1, page 8. The above explains that the two-horned beast is the one to whom the number 666 belongs. What is the two-horn? Democrats and Republicans. Now let us read again the statement in 2SR. So it says here, 2SR page 155. 2SR page 155. Furthermore, it is the period under the symbol of the woman riding on the beast that makes an image of the leopard-like in his first stage before wounded. Now I would like to read again. Furthermore, it is the period under the symbol of the woman riding on the beast that makes an image of the leopard-like in his first stage before wounded. That statement cannot be mistaken. If you will be saying that the woman riding on the beast, that is, the woman riding on the scarlet-colored beast, are we saying that at the time when the woman riding the scarlet-colored beast, at the time when there is a death decree, universal Sunday law, that is the time that they make an image to the leopard-like beast? That event is after the image of the leopard-like beast had been formed. Then the woman will sit on the scarlet-colored beast because the image of the leopard-like beast is the scarlet-colored beast. So, think it thoroughly, brothers and sisters. When does the image of the beast will be made? It is in the time, in the symbol of the woman riding on the beast. What is the image of the beast? The scarlet-colored beast. 1 Symbolic Code 4, page 7. So, the woman will ride to the scarlet-colored beast, which is the image of the beast. Therefore, before the woman can ride the scarlet-colored beast, which is the image of the beast, it must be made first by the two-horn, according to the voice of inspiration. But when does the image of the beast is to be made? It is under the symbol of the woman riding on the beast. Then, who is the beast? It points out to the President in the United States of America. Therefore, 2SR 155 is a prediction, by which such prediction never happens before. Remember, the image of the beast will be fully made up at the commencement of the sealing of the 144,000, at the commencement of the judgment of the living, which is the sealing of the 144,000. It is fully made up, meaning accomplished fact. When does the image of the beast is fully made up? At the commencement of the judgment of the living. Tract number 3, 3rd edition, page 115. And when would be the commencement of the judgment of the living? It says the sealing of the 144,000 is at the beginning of the judgment of the living. 2SR 171. And that is the reason why God commanded to hold the four winds. Revelation 7, verse 3 and 4. What does it mean? Tract number 8, page 22. Holding back the image of the beast activity. So, the statement holding back the image of the beast activity, preventing the woman to ride the scarlet-colored beast. Because when the woman rides the scarlet-colored beast, that is the time that there is a death decree. Now, to repeat again, what is the statement in 2SR 155? When does the image of the beast will be formed? It is under the symbol of the woman riding on the beast. The beast mentioned in that reading in 2SR 155 could not be the scarlet-colored beast. And the woman mentioned there could not be brothers and sisters, pointing to Revelation chapter 17. That statement can be easily understood that throughout the whole world, only in the United States of America, although I do not know, but it seems. But only United States of America is called the prophetic nation. President, we also elect vice president. But in the United States of America, the vice president rides the president. Because when the president wins, immediately the vice president rides the victory of the president. Then it was predicted beforehand that at the time when the vice president of the United States of America is symbolized by the woman, brothers and sisters, that is the time by which United States of America is making the image of the beast, which is the scarlet-colored beast. And that is the time that the number 666 was fully made up. Because the number 666, brothers and sisters, is pointing to three identity. It says, belongs to the two horn. What is the two horn? Democrats and Republican. But in the vision of Sister White, it is pointing to the image beast. If you will say image beast, pointing to the image. And of course, brothers and sisters, that must be pointing. Let's read track number 5 on page 21. I saw that the number 666 of the image beast, the two-horned beast of verse 11, track number 5, page 21. So that image beast, the word image, the shadow at the back of the beast, that beast represent the President of the United States of America. That the number 666, brothers and sisters, was illustrated by God to the image beast. Because the two-horned beast represent Democrat and Republican, contain only two numbers, but there are three numbers, 666. Now, I would like to show to you again, it cannot be mistaken because it will be proven in different angles. The 45th president, that is Donald. The 46th president, that is Joseph. Both of them had the number 6. How about the American currency, dollar? That is also number 6. How about Sunday? Sunday, that is still number 6. The image, the vice president, what is his name? Kamala, Harris, Imhoff, all of them are number 6. The statement, the number 666 belongs to the United States of America. First to the two-horn. What is the two-horn? And it was predicted beforehand, brothers and sisters, that in this study, although we did not know it after the event, but we have already reading material that the last president of the United States of America is the 46th president. Although at first we do not know if Donald Trump will be re-elected or not. Because if Donald Trump had been re-elected, then we need to wait another 4 years for the 46th president. But Donald Trump was defeated. So we are now in the fulfillment of the prophecy, the 46th president. And you think it is just a mere happenstance? We have Democrats, we have Republican and Democrats. Both of them, their name is 6 letters. The number of dollar is 6 letters. Sunday is 6 letters. And we have the image beast. What does it mean by image beast? That is pointing to the vice president of the United States of America. Because that is the image of the beast. But God would not confuse us. Because if you say image of the beast, that is scarlet colored. But rather, image beast. The beast is the president. The image is the vice president. Image beast. And Sister White says, the image beast, the number is 666. But it was predicted beforehand in 2SR 155 that such image must be woman riding on the beast. Never happened in the United States of America that the vice president is a woman. Happened only once in a lifetime. And never happened that it is exactly the specification given in the Bibles for prophecy is exact. 666. Now, let us go back to 2 symbolic code, number 1, page 8. Although we do not base our study only in that portion, it can be proven in all angles of the prophecy. We know that the Shepherd says in 2SR page 110, it says, the mark of the beast is Sunday observance. At 2SR 110. The mark of the beast is Sunday observance. So what is the mark of the beast? Sunday observance. And that's why Sunday itself contains 6 letters. You cannot buy and sell. That is pointing to the money. And since it is in the United States of America, It is the currency in the United States of America, US dollar. Dollar has 6 letters. Now, the statement, the mark of the beast, can be easily understood that there is a mark of that beast. God gave the mark of that beast, that the beast represent the President of the United States of America. So I would like to repeat again, brothers and sisters. Of course, the beast represent the President in the United States of America. What does it mean, the mark of the beast? There is a sign, there is a mark given by God so that you can discern that that President in his term of office, he will be the one to implement the Sunday observance. And we should not wait the material side. Now, let us read again the statement here in 2 Symbolic Code, number 1, page 8. It says, the above explains that the two-horned beast is the one to whom the number 666 belongs. And that this beast of Revelation 13:11 to 18 and the king of the north of Daniel 11 verse 45 are the same power. You see, brothers and sisters, it says the same power. Therefore, the nation represented by this particular beast and the king of the north, or the man who is to be the head king of that nation. What does it mean? President, right? The man who is to be the head king of that nation in the time when this image beast, the two-horned, enforces the worship of his image, whose image is nothing less than the thing he made, or to make a likeness of the political system of the beast before him, the leopard-like of Revelation 13, verse 1 to 10, that is, likeness of the papal system in the period before the leopard-like beast received his deadly wand. Now, let us view first the Dark Ages, because the statement, before the leopard-like beast received his deadly wand. Let us go back again to the great controversy, 443. But what is the image to the beast? And how is it to be formed? The image is made by the two-horned beast, and is an image to the beast. It is also called an image of the beast. Then to learn what the image is like and how it is to be formed, we must study the characteristics of the beast itself, the papacy. What is the admonition given by the voice of inspiration? In order to understand how does the image of the beast is to be formed, we must study the characteristics of the papacy. Or in other words, in order for us to understand how the image of the beast is formed, we need to study the picture, the photograph, the type. Now let us study first the type. The Great Controversy, page 49. It says here, the Apostle Paul, in his second letter to the Thessalonians, foretold the great apostasy which would result in the establishment of the papal power. How does the papal power will be established? There must be great apostasy first. The papal power cannot be established not until such great apostasy, brothers and sisters, and it is taken from 2 Thessalonians Chapter 2, verse 3, 4, and 7. Would you think that is applied only during the Dark Ages? It says, he declared that that day of Christ should not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is called God, and that is worship, so that he is as God seated in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. And furthermore, the apostle warns his brethren that the mystery of iniquity that already worked. Even at that early date, he saw creeping into the church errors that would prepare the way for the development of the papacy. Now, brothers and sisters, let us now look at the picture, the photograph, the type, because the type is the only positive groups, according to 2SR 255. And in 2SR 267, it is considered as the Great Searchlight. Now, I would like to read the Great Controversy, 390. And the same chapter had been quoted here, 2 Thessalonians Chapter 2. So let us read. It says, the Bible declares that before the coming of the Lord, Satan will work with all power and signs and lying wonders and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness. And they that receive not the love of the truth that they might be saved will be led to receive strong delusion that they should believe a lie. 2 Thessalonians Chapter 2, verse 9 to 11. And what is that specific lie? That is pointing to the resurrection, because the time is no longer far distant by which the devil will imitate those saints that were already in their graves, and many people would believe such lie. Now, it says here, not until this condition shall be reached and the union of the church with the world shall be fully accomplished throughout Christendom will the fall of Babylon be complete. The change is a progressive one and the perfect fulfillment of Revelation 14 verse 8 is yet future. You see, Revelation 14 verse 8, it is yet future, and it was connect to 2 Thessalonians Chapter 2. What is 2 Thessalonians Chapter 2? Great apostasy, by which such papal power can never be established, not until such great apostasy will be fulfilled. Now here in 4 BC 1162, in Ezekiel chapter 28 is also attached 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 7 and 8. The predicted event, the falling away, the great apostasy. Now let's read the statement 4 BC 1162 and 1163. A general movement represented. A general movement represented. I ask our people to study the 28th chapter of Ezekiel. The representation here made, while it refers primarily to Lucifer, the fallen angel, has yet a broader significance. Not one being but a general movement is described, and one that we shall witness. A faithful study of this chapter should lead those who are seeking for truth to walk in all the light that God has given to His people, lest they be deceived by the deception of these last days. Then it says, soon to be fulfilled. Ezekiel 28 verse 2, verse 6 to 10, and 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 7 and 8. The time is fast approaching when this scripture will be fulfilled. The world and the professedly Protestant churches is in our day taking sides with the man of sin. The great issue that is coming will be on the seventh-day Sabbath. But there is one thing by which many Sabbath keepers, they did not know, that there is a false Sabbath, which is also seventh day. And what is that Sabbath? That is the Jewish Sabbath, not the Lord's Sabbath. Because the Sabbath and the sanctuary are coupled together, inseparable. It says here in 2SR page 139, it says, the Bible is the revelation of creation and redemption in Christ, Creator and Redeemer. Therefore, the Sabbath and the sanctuary constitute the truth. See Hebrews 9 verse 10, Hebrews chapter 4 verse 4 to 10. Thus, these two doctrines are coupled together, cannot be separated, and bear the whole truth. The Jewish people who keep the Sabbath, they crucified the Lord, because the Sabbath that they were keeping is not of God. That is man's Sabbath. Because the only Sabbath which is of the Lord is the Sabbath, the Lord's Sabbath, by which that Lord's Sabbath is coupled together to the sanctuary truth. That is very plain. And that is why it's very important to understand the sanctuary doctrine in the judgment that pertains to the living. Now let's go back to that predicted event when the papal power will be re-established again. It says here in The Great Controversy, page 573. So let us read the statement here, The Great Controversy, page 573. It says, in the movements now in progress in the United States to secure for the institutions and usages of the church the support of the state, Protestants are following in the steps of papists. Nay, more, they are opening the door for the papacy to regain in Protestant America the supremacy which she has lost in the old world. It was predicted beforehand that the papal supremacy will be re-established again. It will be regained again in the United States of America, according to the voice of the Spirit of prophecy. But the absolute fact is that the papal power, that papal supremacy, will never be established in the United States of America, not unless the great apostasy must be fulfilled first. What does it mean by great apostasy? It was also revealed to the red dragon, complete apostasy. Now, I would like to read here on 2SR. So, let us read the statement, brothers and sisters, that according to the voice of inspiration, 2SR page 69, the dragon with his 7 heads and 10 horns with the crowns on the heads appeared at the birth of Christ, as previously explained, and occupies the period parallel with the nondescript beast. The heads are represented by the biblical number 7, meaning completeness, and embrace every religious system in the days of Christ. Why is it that in the vision of Isaiah the gospel prophet, in Isaiah 27 verse 1, I would like to read to you, Isaiah 27 verse 1, it says, In that day the Lord, with his sore and great and strong sword, shall punish the Leviathan, the piercing serpent, even the Leviathan, that crooked serpent, and he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea. But all of them pointing to the devil. But why is it that it is described in 3 divisions? Because that is in connection with the exceeding great horde. The dragon during pagan Rome, the dragon during papal Rome, and the dragon during the Protestant period. The great apostasy in the Jewish church, the great apostasy on the Ephesus, and the great apostasy in the United States of America. The papal supremacy can never be established in the United States of America unless there is a great apostasy. And it was revealed first to Isaiah and Micah. Now let's read here in 1 SR page 219 and 220. It says, To the prophet Isaiah, this great apostasy fostered by blind spiritual guides was revealed, which he describes in the following scriptures. And he saw that there was no man, and wondered that there was no intercessor. Therefore his arm brought salvation unto him, and his righteousness it sustained him. Isaiah 59:16. And I looked, and there was none to help, and I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore mine own arm brought salvation unto me, and my fury it upheld me. Isaiah 63 verse 5. Micah, looking forward to this wholesale deception, says, Trust ye not in a friend, put ye not confidence in a guide. Micah 7 verse 5. Now look at the statement given by the shepherd's rod. Isaiah 59:16, Isaiah 63 verse 5 is called great apostasy. But Micah 7 verse 5, it is called wholesale deception. And that wholesale deception is also found in Isaiah 4 verse 1 and Revelation 13 verse 3, according to 2SR page 98. Now let us focus first to the great apostasy. Isaiah 59. What nation does Isaiah 59 represent? Now let us read the vision of Sister White in Testimonies for the Church, Volume 1, page 355. It says here, let us read Testimonies for the Church, Volume 1, page 355, saying, I was pointed to Isaiah 58 and Isaiah 59 and Jeremiah 14. And it points out to our nation. It says here, I was pointed to Isaiah 58, Isaiah 59, verse 1 to 15, Jeremiah 14, verse 10 to 12, as a description of the present state of our nation. What nation? Isaiah 59 and Isaiah 58, United States of America, because the statement, our nation, that is pointing to the nation of Sister White. It says, the people of this nation have forsaken and forgotten God. They have chosen other gods and followed their own corrupt ways until God has turned from them. Until God has turned from them. The word until, according to track number 3, page 66, meaning up to. So there is an appointed time. There is a divinely appointed time by which God's Spirit will be completely withdrawn in the United States of America. Therefore, Isaiah 59, brothers and sisters, pointing to the United States of America. The great apostasy is in the United States of America because the papal power will be reestablished in the United States of America, and that prophetic event never be fulfilled if there was no great apostasy. So here in 1SR page 150, let us read, it says, And he saw that there was no man, and wondered that there was no intercessor. God was astonished. Moses and Aaron stood between the dead and the living. Numbers 16:48. God used Elijah on Mount Carmel. 1 Kings chapter 18. In the crisis here brought to view, God finds no man. Ezekiel 22 verse 30. So he himself interposes. What does it mean? God finds no man. No man that can make an intercession. The only man that can make intercession is God's inspired servant. The example given is Moses, Aaron, Elijah. And if you will read Ezekiel 22 verse 30, let's read Ezekiel 22 verse 30. It says here, this is the statement given by the Bible. And I sought for a man among them that should make up the hedge and stand in the gap before me for the land, that I should not destroy it, but I found none. If there is inspired servant in the United States of America that can make up the hedge and stand in the gap, there will be no destruction that will come in the United States of America. But the fact is, there is no man. And if you will read 2TG, let's read 2TG number 44 on page, let's read the statement. 2TG number 44, that's predicted event in Isaiah 63 verse 5, by which 2TG 44, I think page 38, it says, and I looked, and there was none to help. Let's read 2TG 44, page 38. Looking down to this very time, this prophecy in Isaiah's day said, and I looked, and there was none to help, and I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore mine own arm brought salvation unto me, and my fury it upheld me. This is the commentary given by the shepherd's rod. Here you note that when the time came, so it is still a prophecy. Here you note that when the time came, there was not even one among his servants. Who are they, the servants of God? It is the Davidian. Because in 1930, the leadership of the Seventh-day Adventist Church was already rejected by God. God no longer considered them as His servants. They were rejected by God. And the only servants that God considered since 1930 onwards, it must be the shepherd's rod or the Davidian ministry. So it says here, I would like to read the statement. And 2 symbolic code number 10, page 6. The foregoing statement simply means that God limited to the leaders of the Seventh-day Adventist denomination 1 year in which to accept the sealing message and to carry it to the church through the instrumentality of the old organization, and that if they still continued after the expiration of this limited period of grace to reject the message, He will spew them out of His mouth. Reject them as His servants. Reject them as His servants. And that now, since this limited period of grace has expired, so it was already expired, God rejected them. So the only servants that God recognizes since 1930 onwards must be this day organization. But when the commencement of the judgment of the living, because it says it is to uphold the work of the harvest, it points out, brothers and sisters, to the judgment that pertains to the living. Here you note that when the time came, there was not even one among His servants, not even one, to uphold the work of the harvest. And consequently, the Lord Himself did the work without them. 2TG 44, page 38. So to repeat again, brothers and sisters, there is a predicted event, great apostasy. And what is the description of the 144,000? It says here in 1SR page 222, though such great apostasy and blasphemy has gripped the world. God church, 144,000 in number, scattered throughout the length and breadth of the earth without a shepherd, and have not bowed a knee to Baal. Why is it that the 144,000, all of them, the description, they have no shepherd? Indicates, brothers and sisters, that they don't belong with any such organized movement in the United States of America. Otherwise, they must have shepherd. The statement cannot be mistaken. Before the Sunday law will be implemented, there must be great apostasy in the United States of America. And that great apostasy, the 144,000, are scattered without a shepherd. Why? Because in the great apostasy, all the shepherds, brothers and sisters, it says, fostered by blind spiritual guides. It says in 1SR 219, to the prophet Isaiah, this great apostasy fostered by blind spiritual guides. And the shepherd's rod called it, in Micah 7 verse 5, as a wholesale deception. Maybe it's easy to understand the word wholesale. And that must be wholesale blotting out of names, right? Look at this reading in track number 3. It says on page 9, track number 3, page 9, and ponder deeply this statement. Always man's greatest test, and one which has ever involved almost an instantaneous decision, has been in the unrolling of the scroll, in the eclipse of a past message by a new one. Present truth. On every such occasion, each one has had to decide, shall I heed the new and unpopular truth and walk in its light, joining with those who are despised by nearly every religious leader in the land? Or shall I allow myself to be deterred by the decision and counsel of the ministry in my church? When the judgment begins and the books open and the cases of its generation have passed in succession in review before the judicial tribunal, some generations suffered an almost wholesale blotting out of names. Wholesale. And Micah 7 verse 5, that is wholesale. deception. Now, let's read again to SR page 98. It says, the name of blasphemy. And upon his heads, the name of blasphemy, that is resistance of known truth, expression of defiant impiety and irreverence toward God, or things held sacred, mocking God's personality and authority. The prophet Isaiah, looking forward to this time of wholesale deception, headed by so-called spiritual guides, says, and in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. Isaiah 4, verse 1. Now, think it thoroughly, my dear brothers and sisters. When would be Isaiah 4 will be fulfilled? In the judgment of the living. Now, I would like to read to you the statement here in 1 TG. 1 TG number 30. It says here, 1 TG number 30 on page 17. In that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. Now, ponder deeply the commentary given by the shepherd's rod. 1 TG number 30, page 17. It says here, the first thing we need to know is the time indicated by the term in that day. The first thing we need to know is the time indicating by the term in that day. The antecedent of the words that day is found in verses 13 and 14 of the preceding chapters, of which the 4th chapter is a continuation. It did not say of the preceding chapter, but rather in the preceding chapters. What is the preceding chapters of chapter 4? Of course, that is chapter 3 and chapter 2. So we need to go back to that chapter, brothers and sisters. And I would like to read here in Isaiah, in the book of Isaiah. So, BT Hotep says, you want to know the fulfillment of Isaiah 4 verse 1? Go back to the preceding chapters. So let us go back to the preceding chapters. Isaiah chapter 3. And then Isaiah chapter 2. The last 2 verses of the 2 chapters. Verse 13 and verse 14. And also verse 13 and verse 14. Because the statement, the antecedent of the words that day is found in verses 13 and 14. What verses? 13 and 14. Of what? Of the preceding chapters. Plural form. So, let us now find out verse 13 and 14 on chapter 2, verse 13 and 14 on chapter 3. That is the fulfillment of Isaiah 4 verse 1. Very plain, right? It says, the first thing we need to know is the time indicated by the term in that day. In Isaiah 4:1. In that day, 7 women. And where is the clue given by the shepherd's rod? It is found in verses 13 and 14 of the preceding chapters. Now let us, brothers and sisters, read verse 13 and 14 on chapter 2 because it is inscribed in plural form, preceding chapters. And then chapter 3, verse 13 and 14. It says, verse 13, chapter 2, and upon all the cedars of Lebanon, where we could found Lebanon, that is Assyria, that are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan. What is oaks? Trees. And what is represented by trees? Leaders, the leaders of Bashan. It says, and upon all the high mountains, and upon all the hills that are lifted up. You see, brothers and sisters, the fulfillment of Isaiah 4 verse 1 is found, the clue is given in verses 13 and 14 of the preceding chapters. Now let us go to chapter 3, verse 13 and 14. The Lord standeth up to plead, and standeth to judge the people. The Lord will enter into judgment with the ancient of his people, and the princes thereof, for ye have eaten up the vineyard, and the spoil of the poor is in your houses. That is the reality. The statement, the Lord standeth up to plead. Now, let us read the old symbolic code. Let me see if we could find that statement where the prophet says that is the time that the Lord began to plead with his people. Old symbolic code. 1 symbolic code, number 16, page 3. 1 symbolic code, number 16, page 3. It says, this question is answered by Isaiah 66, verse 16. Reading 1 symbolic code, number 16, page 3. This question is answered by Isaiah 66, verse 16. For there too is stated that he will plead with all flesh, and the September number of the code, page 7, proves that the Lord begins to plead with all flesh in the proclamation of the sealing message and the fulfillment of Ezekiel 9 in the church. Now, I would like to read again. It says, the Lord begins to plead. The Lord begins to plead with all flesh in the proclamation of the sealing message and the fulfillment of Ezekiel 9 in the church. So this reading in Isaiah 3, verse 13, and the Lord standeth up to plead and standeth to judge the people. God is pleading. But it was illustrated in Isaiah 52. It says here in the old symbolic code. 2 symbolic code number 11, page 8. 2 symbolic code number 11, page 8. It says, this experience will awaken them as if startled out of their dreams and will enable them to receive the power of the Spirit and to put on the beautiful garments of Christ's righteousness, which give by the prophet's pleading. He is urging us to receive Isaiah 52, verse 1. However, no one with prejudice and self-confidence can ever come to the knowledge of the truth. Brethren, the statement that they were eating the vineyard, or you have eaten up the vineyard. What is the vineyard? United States of America. So, in every angle, we can prove to you, brothers and sisters, that according to 1 TG number 30, page 17, such prophecy will be fulfilled in the period of the judgment that pertains to the living. Now, let us go back again to 1 TG number 30, page 17. 1 TG number 30, page 17. It says here, so this is really happening. Brothers and sisters, whether you deny it or you evade it, the reality is very apparent. What they want is the name, brothers and sisters. What is the errors mentioned in the Great Controversy, page 49? After the apostles died, all of the religious organizations, all of them are trying to establish, to prove that they are the, I would like to read that statement, and the desire of ages, that they were the successor. And this is what's happening today, because all of them are claiming that they are the successor of the movement in 1930 to 1955. They will say, we are the true movement, we are the true successor of the movement of B.T. Hotep because our name, let me read to you here in track number 7. And that is great apostasy. Track number 7, page 43. So what they are doing today is only a complete revelation that the great apostasy is in the United States of America. It says here in track number 7, page 43, 7 women, 1 man. 7 is the complete number. Women represents a church. Revelation 12, verse 1 and 2. Revelation 17, verse 3. But in this case, not the true or pure church, for there is a reproach. How true it is today that the churches will not accept the bread, meaning the present truth, and that came down from heaven, but rather eat their own food, the traditions of men. They want the name, but reject the garment, which Christ provides, and hence will be found at last without the wedding garment. What they want? They want the name. They are studying, searching, trying to find proofs that they are the true movement because of the name. And here in Desire of Ages, I would like to read to you. Desire of Ages, page 466 and 467. It says, the Pharisees had declared themselves the children of Abraham. Why? Because they claimed that they were the successor. With unbroken line, they could trace up, which in reality is even more reality than those who are claiming today. Now, let's read this. But look at how Jesus Christ rebuked them sharply. Let's read Desire of Ages, page 466 and 467. The Pharisees had declared themselves the children of Abraham. Jesus told them that this claim could be established only by doing the works of Abraham. The two children of Abraham would live as he did, a life of obedience to God. They would not try to kill one who was speaking the truth that was given him from God. In plotting against Christ, the rabbis were not doing the works of Abraham. A mere lineal descent from Abraham was of no value. Look at the statement given by the Spirit of prophecy. A mere lineal descent from Abraham was of no value. We can paraphrase the statement by saying, a mere lineal descent from B.T. Hotep was of no value. Without a spiritual connection with him, which would be manifested in possessing the same spirit and doing the same works, they were not his children. This principle bears with equal weight upon a question that has long agitated the Christian world. The question of apostolic succession, that is the great errors that had been manifested after the apostles died. They were contending, who are they, the successors? Ponder deeply, brothers and sisters. It says, this principle bears with equal weight upon a question that has long agitated the Christian world, the question of apostolic succession. Descent from Abraham was proved not by name and lineage. It is not by name, neither by lineage, but by likeness of character. So the apostolic succession rests not upon the transmission of ecclesiastical authority. This prophecy is very plain. The apostolic succession rests not upon the transmission of ecclesiastical authority, but upon spiritual relationship. A life actuated by the apostles' spirit, the belief and teaching of the truth they taught. This is the true evidence of apostolic succession. This is what constitutes men the successors of the first teachers of the gospel. The desire of ages 466 and 467. But the fact is that prophecy is being now fulfilled. Every one of them is contending the name, but not knowing that they were in total ignorance of the present truth under the seventh seal, which is pertaining to the judicial proceedings in the heavenly sanctuary. Look at, brothers and sisters, all the prophecy concerning United States of America. Let us enumerate one by one. In the prophecy that the papal supremacy will be established in the United States of America, according to the Great Controversy, 573, no, it will not establish, not until the great apostasy must be fulfilled first. The Great Controversy, page 49. How such great apostasy in the United States of America was revealed, according to the Sharper's Rod. 1 SR 219, 220. 1 SR 150, that is Isaiah 59:16, Isaiah 63 verse 5, Micah 7:5. Although Micah 7 verse 5, the description used by inspiration is wholesale deception. What is Isaiah 59? Testimonies for the Church, Volume 1, 355, to point out to our nation, United States of America. Sister White says, pointing to the United States. And look at the Seventh-day Adventist Bible Commentary, Volume 4, page 311. It says, the situation is hopeless. Everyone is contending that they are the true movement. While in reality, what is the great apostasy? Brothers and sisters, not even one among them that can stand the gap, can make intercession. Ponder deeply, brothers and sisters. It says, there was no man. In the crisis that had risen there was none able to provide relief. Ezekiel 22 verse 30, not even one. There was none to stay the threatened scourge, as did Aaron and Moses, Numbers 16, 47, 48, or Peninnah, Numbers 25 verse 7 and 8. From a human point of view, the situation appeared hopeless. But the statement in 2 TG 44:38, it says, God Himself interposes. God's intervention. Because the 144,000 were illustrated, cut out without hands. Track number 8, page 63. Meaning, without human help. The same with track number 3, page 49. Without human aid. So, brothers and sisters, in different angles, it is easy to discern that true condition of the churches in the United States of America is a wilderness. Why? Because it is illustrated by the scarlet-colored beast. What is the scarlet-colored beast? The image of the beast. 1 symbolic code 47. Who made the image of the beast? United States of America. Great Controversy 443. When does the image of the beast is fully made up? Track number 3, 3rd edition, 115. At the commencement of the judgment of the living. What is the commencement of the judgment of the living? The sealing of the 144,000, 2 SR, page 171. What does it mean? Hold the four winds, holding the image of the beast activity. Track number 8, page 22. So at the sealing of the 144,000, the image of the beast is already made up. What is the image of the beast? Scarlet-colored. Thus the image of the beast will be made up if there is a divinely called movement in the United States of America, if there is inspired servant. No, because it was illustrated that the scarlet-colored beast has 7 unharmed heads, not wounded. Meaning, at the time when the devil employed such deception, America is already a wilderness. What does it mean? The vineyard became desolate. Track number 633. What does it mean by desolate? God's presence completely removed. Track number 3, page 41. Why is it that the 7 heads? What is the 7 heads of the scarlet-colored beast? Brothers and sisters, all the apostate churches in the United States of America. Why is it that it was formed? And when it was formed, it is unharmed because there is no divinely called movement. Because if there is divinely called movement, there is no possibility that such image of the beast will be made up. And it was made up before the sealing of the 144,000. And that is why it says, hold the 4 winds. What is the 4 winds? The image of the beast activity. So, the bottom line of the beast study is to inform the 144,000. And I know that this rousing alarm, it says here in 2TG 24, on page 23, it says that church, that is the 144,000, therefore will not sleep forever. The true people of God will be awake to their poverty, and they will profit with this rousing call. But the foolish virgins, they will be awakened after probation closes. And at last they found out that the shepherds whom they implicitly trusted for their salvation had deceived them, all who follow them. It says here in 1 Symbolic Code number 14, page 6, note that the shepherds are not themselves to mourn, but their habitations, their houses, that is the membership of their churches, which fact reveals that it will be thus at the time when the sleeping multitudes in the churches awake from their spiritual insensibility and find that the shepherds whom they have implicitly trusted for their salvation had deceived all those who follow them. But the 144,000, they have no shepherd. The only shepherd that they accepted, it is the Word of God. It is Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ in the form of words. Because the description, it says, they scattered throughout the length and the breadth of the earth without shepherd, when the great apostasy will be fulfilled. 1 SR 222. So it is very plain, my dear brothers and sisters. And we fully believe that the 144,000 living saints, they were listening right now. And although we do not know, according to the Shepherd's Rod in track number 2, I would like to read again this reading. I love so much this reading. It is addressed to my fellow, all 144,000 living saints. Track number 2, page 65 and 66. A word to the elect of God, the 144,000, their brethren. Track number 2, page 65 and page 66. A word to the elect of God, the 144,000, their brethren. To you who hear the voice of the Good Shepherd and who are not known to us by name, but only by prospective number, 144,000, and office God's guileless servants, kings and priests. To each of you comes the solemn certainty that the sealing time is very short. It will be finished this year. The sealing of the 144,000 will be completely finished this coming September 22, 2021. It will be finished. So it says here, brothers and sisters, to each of you comes the solemn certainty that the sealing time is very short, its end very near. Therefore, brother, sister, make sure that you receive the seal of God on time, before the harvest is past and the summer is ended. On September 23, that is the time by which you will say, the summer is ended. And it's nice to say, the harvest is past and the summer is ended and we are saved. Not to say, the harvest is past, the summer is ended, and we are not saved. It says, therefore, brother, sister, make sure that you receive the seal of God on time. Do not delay the return to our Eden home. Today, if you will hear His voice, harden not your hearts. Hebrews chapter 4 verse 7. He that is on the Lord's side, let him tarry no longer. The time has fully arrived for the 144,000 to come into line with God's program for the finishing of His work and the preparing of them for translation. Track number 2, page 65, page 66. Soon, very soon, we will meet each other, brothers and sisters. And, of course, if you are among the 144,000, then the description given in the Bible, it is for prophecy. They were scattered throughout the earth without a shepherd. You see, brothers and sisters, that is very plain. It is not difficult to understand. But who are they that will cry aloud with lamentation and mourning, saying the harvest is past and the summer is ended and we are not saved? They are those people who implicitly trusted their salvation to those shepherds by which they belong to such organization. And at last they will find out it is a wholesale deception. At last they will find out that it is a great apostasy led by blind spiritual guides. And how could you discern that there is a great apostasy? At the time when all of them is contending who is the successor of the movement of B.T. Hotep. And they were focusing to the name because that is the prediction in Isaiah 4 verse 1. They are not bothered whether the present truth is in their movement. We will eat our own bread. So they will be the one to eat their own bread. Private interpretation. They have no present truth. What we want is the name. Contending the name, brothers and sisters. And all of them are angling to such name. And that's what it means by blasphemy. What is blasphemy? Brothers and sisters, let us read. It says here in 2TG, number 18. It says in page 17, to blaspheme is for one to speak lightly of God, to work hypocrisy, to profess to be something other than what one actually is. Inspiration, definition is this. I know that the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogues of Satan. It is figurative speech. It's easy to understand what is the blasphemy. They were saying that they were the Bedean. They were saying that they are the true movement. They were saying that they are the movement which is of God, while in reality, they were the synagogue of Satan. Because the only movement which is of God is the movement by which God deposited the present truth. God's church is well marked in every generation by obedience to present truth. 2SR page 125. So the only church recognized by God as His is the church by which the present truth was deposited by God. But it was predicted beforehand that the last church in the New Testament succession could not be in the United States of America. If God would raise up the divinely called movement in the United States of America, which is the 11-hour church by which that church will no longer be in apostasy, then God is working against His own words. Because it is God who dictated John the Beloved in the island of Patmos that there must be Sunday law in the United States of America, there must be image of the beast, there must be image to the beast. And if God would raise up divinely called movement in the United States of America, then there is no possibility that such prophecy will be fulfilled because the last and the final movement is the 11th hour and it will never be in apostasy. And if God would raise up that divinely called movement in the United States of America, then all the prophecies recorded in the book of Revelation will never be fulfilled. The 7 heads of the scarlet-colored beast never been hurt, never been wounded. It is unharmed. Now, brothers and sisters, what is the scarlet-colored beast? The image of the beast. Who formed it? United States of America. Therefore, the image of the beast, which is the scarlet-colored beast, must be in the United States of America. Now, if there is a divinely called movement, then the heads of the scarlet-colored beast must be wounded. Brothers and sisters, look at what happened in October 22, 1844. Supposed to be, the wound would have been healed because the 5 movements that had been raised by God to deliver deadly blow and to inflict the wounded head was already defeated by the devil. But the shepherd's rod says in 1SR 217, but the Seventh-day Adventist Church came on the stage of action raised by God. Therefore, there is no possibility that the wound would be healed. But what happened? 1915, when Sister White died, God did not raise up immediately a divinely called movement as well as inspired servant. There was 15 years gap of time. And at that time, the wound is healed. But why is it that God raised up the This Day organization in 1930? We will explain that completely on our next episode, brothers and sisters. But hoping that the intention of God of such revelation, symbolic revelations, because this is the only medium that God will use to enlighten the 144,000. It says here in 2SR page 10, while the enemy has succeeded in confusing the written word, God lightens the earth with His glory by these symbolic revelations. God lightens the earth with His glory, with these symbolic revelations. And there's a statement, it says that the angel of Revelation 18 is lightening your heart. Can you project that statement? That is in 2SR. Let me read that statement. It says here in page 145, the angel is waiting to seal you with the seal of God. 2SR 145. The angel is waiting to seal you with the seal of God. Will you choose darkness rather than light? as the angel, meaning the messenger, as the angel is lightening the earth with his glory. What glory? The glory of Jesus Christ. What is the medium? Symbolic revelations. 2SR page 10. It says, as the angel is lightening the earth with his glory, will you let him lighten your heart? Yet a little while, and God's truth shall triumph. Why should you remain behind? Will you stubbornly worship like Cain with a religion that cannot save? 2SR page 145. So we will continue our subject on our next episode. We love you, brethren, and hoping to see you in God's kingdom. It doesn't mean that this message was revealed to us to be construed that we are righteous. No, we are not worthy. You are more righteous than us. But it is already in God's divine program. It doesn't mean because there was great apostasy in the United States of America, there is no God's people there. There are thousands upon thousands of God's people, but individual, brothers and sisters. What the prophecy is telling you and I is concerning the wholesale deception, great apostasy, meaning there is no divinely called movement in the United States of America. And God's true people is individual. And that is why it was illustrated that they have no shepherd, meaning they did not recognize such movement. Because every movement, every organized movement in the United States of America, there are plenty of shepherds. That is undeniable fact. There are plenty of shepherds. And how could it be that the 144,000 is without a shepherd? Indicating that those shepherds are the prophets of Baal, the priests of Baal. And they did not bow their knee because they completely understand that in the prophecy, during the sealing of the 144,000, the image of the beast was fully made up. What is that? What does it mean? Fully made up, meaning there is no divinely called movement in the United States of America. Otherwise, the image of the beast, which is the scarlet-colored beast, had been wounded. But God told us, plainly told you and I, that the 7 heads of the scarlet-colored beast, which is the image of the beast, not wounded, unharmed, to let us know that that image of the beast to be formed in the United States of America at the commencement of the judgment of the living, which is the sealing of the 144,000. At that time, in that period of time, during the sealing of the 144,000, there was no divinely called movement in the United States of America, and that is the reason why the 144,000, they are scattered throughout the whole earth without a shepherd. They did not bow their knee to Baal, because while provisionary time, they opened their eyes and they had been awakened to such absolute fact. But the foolish virgins will be awakened when probation will close. Thank you very much. May the good Lord bless you and have a beautiful, wonderful evening.